is two things. The first thing
Mm-hmm.
is my family in particular looks at themselves as Christian first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you take that out of it and you start to look at the things that, because different issues, they evolve over time, right? When we got Obama, that was really the first president that we seen champion things that was completely different than what we stood for or
Oh
what my
my
family
God.
stood for from a Christian perspective, right? And so when you start to see a lot of that stuff evolve, and you say, okay, well, the Democrat Party is changing, just like the Republican Party has changed significantly, even since Trump has now, since he had first ran and he became president of the United States of America. Today's Democratic Party is not the same as yesteryear's Democratic Party. The issues is different, the times is
Not at
different, the
all. Don't
environment
you
is
hear
different.
RFK? Not at all. Don't you hear RFK Jr. say that?
Yeah. But I can't convince her to look at it now because my mother was born here in Detroit, Michigan. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't born in the South. So
Mm-hmm.
they don't have the same experiences as my father was born in Dawson, Georgia. My mother was born in Detroit, Michigan. And his father actually came up here for a job, obviously in the automotive industry. And then he
Yeah.
sent for, the wife and the two kids, my father and his brother. And then they came up here to Detroit, Michigan, and that's when they met my mother and so on and so forth, right? But her experiences is not the same as maybe somebody that's directly from the South. My father was largely conservative. He was really conservative, so he didn't have the same mindset as a lot of the people on my mother's side. But it's interesting because now, and getting back to Chicago, now I see a whole movement of trying to flip Chicago red. What is that about?
Well, it's about what you just said. You can't help but recognize what you just said. That there is a shift
Yeah.
in parties now. That the Democratic Party of old does not represent anything that I agree with today. All the issues that you were talking about the values that's not Christian, like the issues with all this transgenderism, this mega push for this LBGTQ. And I agree with you. That's what's puzzling right now in
Yeah.
terms of how are we still supporting that party? Let's bring it on into Obama. Even here in Chicago, how are we still having any tolerance for Barack Obama and Michelle Obama when they're building that Obama Center
Yeah.
right over
The
here?
presidential
Let's say
library.
that I can walk. No, I can walk to that Obama Center from where I live.
Yeah.
And how all those people that have gotten displaced in order to build that Obama Center. I don't see how we could have
Mm.
tolerance for him in this city at all. They're gonna have the DNC here and gonna have Obama and Michelle come here talking about what's up, Chicago? What's up? It's that Obama Center pushing people out of their city. That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. What's up is you see in Chicago getting attacked with this illegal immigration like this, and you ain't got a word to say. You ain't came back to check on the city. You ain't came back to give no quote unquote encouraging word. You ain't came back no. The only thing we got in remembrance of Obama in Chicago is every soul food restaurant got lemonade named after them. That's it. That's what we can show. That he went
Oh.
to Chicago. No, and you know what? That's what's so critical about the Obama administration, because you're absolutely right, Anton Daniels, that they sat there and they slid that LBGTQ ideology in up under him. And when he did it, because I'm gonna tell you, you ever heard this record by Parliament called Chocolate City? I know
Mm-hmm.
you have.
Yeah, of course.
All right, right? Now I was like in eighth grade when that record came out, right? Now I want you to think back then when they was talking about Chocolate City and the White House, and we gonna be in the White House, how much of a fantasy that really was
Yeah, yeah,
back
that's
then.
true.
How it was just You see what I'm saying? How it
Yeah.
was just so far out of reach. And then to actually see, quote unquote, Obama, the first black president, yeah, a lot of black people clinged on to that. But it's time to let that go. Because the reality is he done straight clowned us. And now they got the audacity to try to pull in Carmela, another pseudo black person. You coming with it again? Now it's downright insulting. And now I'm right there with you. Black people, what are y'all doing? What are you doing?
So let me ask you a question, Jess. Um, Brandon Johnson, right? He just came
Yeah,
back from London. He just came back from
yeah.
London, right? Um, they got the whole Bears Stadium situation going on. It's a lot, right? Of course, you got the whole replacement, the school board, and all of that stuff that's happening, right? But he just really got in the office. He's gonna be there for another 3 years. What now? Like, how do you deal with, how do you solve for, and I know, of course, I know it's not just him. I know it's a lot of aldermen and all of this stuff like that happening, right? How do y'all deal? How do you cope as a community activist and as a person that is really participating and trying to bring awareness, trying to educate people, trying to get them to focus more on crime, trying to get them to do the things that's in the best interest of the community? How do you approach it, and what's the sentiment about Brandon Johnson amongst the people, even the ones that voted for him?
The sentiment is the city is fed up. This is ridiculous. Even when you say people voted for this, you know I'm gonna keep rubbing that in your face.
I mean,
even
technically they
when
did
no,
though,
even
right? I
when
mean,
you
you
say,
didn't.
yeah, no, because he couldn't be in if people didn't vote for him. So that's an
Correct.
absolute fact. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, Even in the face of that, people see now that this is not working, especially because you know, like I know, the only way that the city is going to get out that $1 billion debt is going to be what? Another raise on property
Yep.
taxes.
It's coming.
Everybody, because clearly that administration can't think their way into another way of fixing this
Y'all
outside
got
of
some
going to the oh so
crazy,
familiar property tax.
crazy property taxes in Chicago.
Praise and remember, every mayoral candidate, remember, ran off of two main issues. Number one, that they had to deal with crime, and number
Yeah.
two, that they would not increase property taxes.
Mm-mm.
He
Not
didn't
gonna
get in
happen.
office. Come on, he didn't get in office. Crime ain't moved the needle. Like you
Yeah.
said, he got rid of shot spotter with absolutely no plan in place to replace it. Complete irresponsibility. You're completely irresponsible. If you know that that was a campaign promise to get rid of, if you know legally the superintendent didn't have the right to override your decision,
Yeah.
then why wouldn't you put into place a plan to replace that if you really feel that it's financially not worth it, if you really feel that the technology of it does not give you the results that you wanted, if you really feel that way and you had that authority, okay, then be responsible and have something to replace it because crime is an issue in your city. It's completely irresponsible. So some things have to get to your door. Like this one lady said, you're not affected by things until you're affected by it.
Yeah.
Some of these things have not affected some people the same way it might affect somebody else. So it's a wheel that's turning. So the answer to your question, because Illinois has those recall laws and all that that give these politicians this level of protection,
Yeah.
which is why they think they don't have to do the right thing, which leads back to why my probate situation could be like this. It's documentation with fraud and everything else that those judges, probate judges, have committed,
Mm.
fraud that the public administration have committed, all on documents. There is no doubt that they have broken the law.
Yeah.
They have let these tenants, told these tenants to squat on me. These tenants have been in this building without paying rent since February 2023 because they're trying to intentionally put a financial strain on this estate. Nobody would do anything. Why? Because it's all Democrat. Why? Every Cook County official is a Democrat. Every judge is a Democrat. Every public administrator is a Democrat. The governor is a Democrat. The mayor is a Democrat. There's absolutely nowhere for you to go to get any type of justice in this city, in this state. That's why, for what is it, like the fourth year in a row, I think, Chicago has been rated the number one most corrupt city in the country. And Illinois has been rated, I think, what, the second most corrupt state in the country. More public officials get indicted here and all this because it's extremely corrupt. So why do I say go Trump, flip red? Because the citizens of Chicago, if we want some help, we're gonna have to get it from the federal level.
Yeah,
Because
that's
ain't nothing
bad.
happening on the local level. We need Trump to come in and stop the bleeding. Stop the
Yeah.
bleeding. Close these borders. Do some executive orders or something to stop this sanctuary city stuff. You got to do something. Because like what you say, 3 more years of this,
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. It's
we're
gonna be
not going
bad.
to recognize Chicago. Just like 4 more years of Kamala Harris and the Democrats, we won't recognize the United States of America. This whole thing is
JB Pritzker
insane.
ain't helping y'all either. JB Pritzker ain't helping y'all either.
He's a Democrat.
I know.
See, this is the thing that I try to get the people here to understand. Stop looking at this person. We're making the mistake that, let's say, for example, if you my alderman, let's take Yancey. You know that clip that you showed, and I tell him that's Yancey. He trying to put low income in there in the house. Let's take him for example,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Alderman Desmond Yancey, right? My property is where they call it's on the cups of Desmond Yancey and Alderman Greg Mitchell, right?
Mm,
Some friends of mine, Doris Lewis, and you've seen her in clips before, I'm
mm-hmm.
sure, and Erica Dunn, they campaigned hard for Desmond Yancey to get into office. They went all in to get him into office. Now he's in office, and they are upset that he's doing this immigration junk like this. But like I have to explain to them, it's because you all are looking at him to do what it is that you all want him to do. You all need to understand he's a member of the Democratic Party. He has to move the way the Democratic Party is moving. If you want an opposite position, you need an opposite party, which
Yeah,
is why we're saying now we need to get at least, if we could just get 4 or 5 Republican seats in City Hall
yeah.
so that there's some level of pushback and opposition to some of this stuff. Because at the end of the day, when you see, let's say, Alderman, let's say like Alderman Bill, Alderman Anthony Bill, he's in the news, him and Raymond Lopez, right?
I
You
know
see
about
them
him.
doing some level of pushback, but
I
how
know all
far can
about
they
him.
push back because they're members of the party?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
We need to understand that it's not about that individual. It's about the party. Even if we look at Donald Trump, for example, don't get caught up in Trump, though. I support him as a candidate,
Yeah.
but I want people to get caught up in the Republican Party. Look at the difference between the parties.
Yeah.
That in the event that Donald Trump is no longer running, because this is the last time that he can even be a president
Yeah,
when
that's
he
true.
gets in.
That's true.
Right?
I think that
Right?
they got a
Let
nice, but
us
they got
not
a decent
get
bullpen.
focused on him. Let us
They got a good
learn about
bullpen
the
though.
Republican Party.
I like the people that's coming after him. I like Byron Donalds. I like JD Vance. I like Vivek Ramaswamy. I like a lot of the people that's in the Republican Party. Um, you don't have no social media, do you, where the people can find you and follow you or anything like that?
Let me see. Zoe and them, they just set me up on what is it, Twitter. They said it's hashtag Miss Jessica Jackson, but don't put the O in Jackson. So I guess it's JACKSN, something like that, man. I'm telling you, look, at
I'ma find
times
it and I'm gonna put it in the
I don't want to
description for
be
the people to
bothered with
chase you.
this job.
You got
They
to.
said
I'm gonna
it's,
find it and I'm
they
gonna put
said
it in
it's
the.
hashtag They say this hashtag Miss Jessica Jackson, but don't put the O in Jackson. I think when they tried to do it before, Jessica Jackson was already in there. Some jump, man. What
I'm gonna
I want.
find it and I'm gonna put it in the description. What do you want to leave the people with? I'm gonna have you on here again if you don't mind coming on. But
Oh,
what
I
do
would
you want to
love
leave the
to
people
because
with? If you have to
what
give
I
them a
want to leave
final
the people
message.
with. What I want to leave the people with is we have to change. This country cannot keep going in the same direction that it's going in. There is nothing wrong with America saying America first. We have to understand that this is not about, like you all say, identity politics. Understand what the position, the number one duty of a president of the United States is. The number one duty is for them to be a commander in chief.
Yeah.
And you just be honest with yourself. Long-term Democrats that won't go, that's going against their Christianity beliefs or whatever, right? Just ask yourself,
Yeah.
real talk, who is a better commander in chief,
Mm.
Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? We
Yeah.
all saw that Fox interview the other night. What
Yeah.
was it with that Brett man? You
Yeah.
saw her. You
Yeah.
saw her. You feel confident with her sitting around the table at the United Nations, with surrounded by political leaders who are not going to go easy on you because you a woman.
We
Because
know
a
better
lot of
than
them
that.
don't appreciate a woman being at the table.
We know better than that.
We know better than that. And I got confidence that the American people are going to do what they got to do and get Donald Trump in office so that America can go back to being America. Because this what we looking at, this is not healthy, as they say. This is not healthy. It's not
Jessica,
godly
Jessica,
and
you
it's
gonna
not
make
right.
you gonna make the mayor of Chicago not like me even more than he probably already don't.
We don't care that he don't like us. What we care is that he's straighten out the city. Right? Straighten out the city. You know, I'm
Oh,
62 years old. Anton, I'm going to tell you this. I bet you when I came to City Hall, I already had friends. What you bet? I
well,
bet
you
you I
know,
didn't come there to befriend him. I
you
came there to deal with my mother's estate. And until that's dealt with, I'm going to keep coming. It's going to get worse and worse and worse until they leave my mama's property alone. And
yeah,
that's the thing I want to do with people too. Pay attention to your property, especially black people. Pay attention to your property. Have your ducks in order because even we seeing, even with this, when your ducks are in order, they looking to swivel in and still take your stuff. That's my main takeaway. Pay attention because this is our generational wealth. Our parents and grandparents and stuff worked hard for this stuff. That
yeah,
housing thing that Carmela Harris is talking about, it ain't going to apply to the majority of us because it ain't too many black people or white people that's been in this country that ain't never had property. They don't have no property in their family. That's rare. So
yeah.
all this she talking about first time buyers who can't have any other property, that's for illegal immigrants. That's a
Mm.
code word for housing for illegal immigrants. How
Yep.
many black people you know that ain't got no property in their family?
Yeah.
And you know white people got property in theirs.
We. Oh,
So what was
I
that
know what the
for?
play is. I know exactly what the play
You
is.
know what the play is.
Yeah. Yep. Jessica, I'm coming. You already know I'm gonna be in Chicago, so I ain't announced
When
it
you
yet.
coming? Are you
I ain't
not
announced
sure?
it yet, but I'm a. You know, you
Okay.
already know. You already know I'm gonna be there because you already know what I'm about to be affiliated with. So we coming through.
Hmm.
I'm coming.
Well, come through. Come
Yep.
through. Like
Yep.
they say, come through. Bring your band. Come through.
I love you, Jessica. Thank you for coming on. I'm gonna have you back. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless and tell your mother
God
I
bless
said,
you
what's
too.
up?
Absolutely. I love you, babe. See you.